What's good, YouTube? Gabe France against 500 other duelists. 507 duelists went into the Philadelphia Regionals, and first place has been taken by one of my favorite decks, Pendulum Magicians. Gabe France managed to do this. Let's go ahead and get into his tournament report and then the deck list itself, since you can already pretty much see everything on screen, and I'm sure you're itching to hear his words rather than mine on this first. So he said round 1 he played against Trickstars and he 2-0'd it. Round 2 he played against True Draco and it's another 2-0. Round 3 he played against 60 card Draco Invoked. Managed to 2-0 that. He's on a roll here. Round 4 Cosmo Dracos, 2-0'd this again. Round 5 Trickstars, another 2-0 smashing. And then round 6, the mirror match, Pendulum Magicians. It's a 2-1 this time, but another W. Round 7, we've got Trickstars 2-0. Round 8, we've got Spirals 2-0. Round 9, we've got the Magician Mirror once more, 2-0 finish. Undefeated, your reigning defending Philadelphia Regional Champion. 500 duelists is a lot for a winter tournament, I'll tell you what. That's pretty insane that there's this much diversity, first off. Not a lot of spirals, but this is pretty good. So let's get into his shoutouts. Actually his notes, I guess, and shoutouts. Shout out to Rice Bowls, Alternative Universe. Hey, that's Steven Silverman. Hey, that's one of the boys. And everybody from Philly, y'all know who you are. A lot of variety at this regional, not a ton of spirals throughout. It was 9 rounds and 507 people. I had Wavering Eyes in the main deck because I expected a lot more Pendulum Magicians. I originally had Ghost Ogre in the main deck instead, but I figured it is only good against spirals and not that great against everything else. That's why I chose Wavering instead. Just as easy a blowout for the mirror matches. Rest of the main deck is fairly standard. Double Omega was the standout for the extra deck. Lava Golem was a great blowout against Spirals, getting rid of their Sleeper and Trigate Wizard. Definitely a lot more variety after the new ban list. And then he says, sorry for a wall of text. This is way less than the average duelist actually puts in my face. So I actually asked him a few questions. I asked him what the scoldings were for in the side, because this is kind of card of last week where everyone went nuts on it on TCG Player and Market Watch. He confirmed with me that it is in the side deck for going first, mainly to counter evenly matched. I also asked him would he consider any changes. He said he would probably side Wavering and maybe put in an upstart instead, but it mostly depends on how the meta shapes out. If Spirals became more dominant again, yes, switch the Wavering for Ogres. So this is quite a spicy list, with more so the side deck being the star of the show, but I really do like how he's built his deck. Mine's somewhat similar, so I do want to talk about it. 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. 3 Black Fang Magician, maxing out on this. I personally don't choose to do this, but I see a lot more duelists start to do this. It's great for damage tricks. It's great for Graveyard Revival, especially since the deck has chosen to kind of become a Baguska stall some of the times, where you're going to be detaching materials, and this comes in very clutch for you, putting another body on board, helping you deal with back row before you Pendulum summon a ton of more monsters from the hand, and all the damage tricks in the deck, this definitely goes in with it. Triple double Iris Magician, real nice again. Of course you're maxing out on this, and star of the show probably, Harmonizing Magician. It overlays, it synchros, it does everything you could want it to do. We've got a Max C here at 1, of course, more hand traps, but only 4 total hand traps in this build. That kind of tells you the shift of the format, that we're actually phasing out from Spiral being the terror that it was, and you can now concentrate on the consistency that Pendulum Magicians once had. And double Oath Dragon as well. A lot of players tend to go with this, but surprisingly he's not playing Astrograph, and the reason a lot of people seemed to play 2 of this was so they still had an Astrograph target should this get destroyed, should they Wavering it themselves. So I'm a little bit surprised to see it at 2, but it is a very great card to have another of. I often find myself wanting another when I only play 1 in my decks. 2 Pendulum Sorks as well. It's a great low scale, searchable out by Duelist Alliance, so if you have to search it, but you still want to Pendulum summon one and pop that Iris, it's great for having that. Its only search target in this deck is Joker, but that's fine. That's pretty much all that's needed. And of course, maxing out on Jokers, 3 Jokers, it can search out any of your Pendulum Magician monsters or your Performing Pal monsters, and Odd Eyes if you happen to play them. 3 Purple Poison Magician, talking about them. Damage tricks boost your monsters, and it does great. And he's playing White Wing Magician. This is something some people decide to do, and others decide not to do. What's really cool in this deck is, if you've Jokered early on, and you Pendulum Summon out Harmon to bring her out, and you have 1 more body on board, you can use this to Synchro Summon with the Joker for the second Omega. So it's really useful for going into double Omega, crippling hands. Like, you bait a hand trap, and then you go double Omega. Your opponent is starting with a grand total of like 3 cards. You've taken 3 total cards by them using a hand trap and 2 Omegas going off. It's highly unlikely you're getting OTK'd, and if you have any kind of hand trap or stoppage past your second Omega, you've pretty much tied up that game. We've got 3 Wisdom Eyes, of course, necessity. 3 main deck Cosmic Cyclone. A little bit surprised to see this, but if you're anticipating the mirror match, it's an amazing card. It helps you take care of problem cards in other decks. It's a little slower against spirals because of the field spell, since you have to take care of the field spell before activating this card. But once you do take care of that field spell, this can come in clutch overall. But I feel like since the format's moved away from spiral, it's a lot nicer to put these in because of True Draco, because of Pendulum Magicians, and it's nice to see. We got triple Duelist Alliance. This Duelist is not scared to draw multiple. Remember, this is a hard once per turn. Triple Potted Desires, maxing this out as well. I can't argue with that one. You want to get that extra card so you can pop off turn 1. It really adds consistency to the deck. Star Pendulum Graph at 1. Very nice. Triple Wavering Eyes. It's really good in the deck, even if you're not playing mirror matches, because it helps out Time Pendulum Graph. If you activate Time Pendulum Graph through your target's Chain Wavering, you get that banish removal. The side deck has 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbits, 2 Droll and Lockbirds, 1 Zaphion. This was really interesting to see it just 1, kind of the feel of the crowd perhaps, and I have to imagine it helped his True Draco matchups. And here's the triple Psalm Scolding. This has been going crazy on Market Watch. Really interesting to see in a first place deck profile of 500 people. I definitely have enjoyed this card throughout other formats, and I gotta say, it seems to be doing its job for him. Triple Dimensional Barrier, definitely for when you're going first against the mirror match, and a very nice card in general to have. 1 Pendulum Hole, looks like he's preparing even more for the mirror, and double Lava Golem, which he said came in so clutch against spirals, being able to take care of Sleeper and Trigate off the bat. You don't really need your normal summon as much unless you got that Joker in hand. And the extra, we have Enlightenment Paladin, one of the most amazing cards printed for this deck. It gets you back a spell from your graveyard, and with Wavering, that can come in very clutch, and then it does damage tricks as well. So if you've activated Wavering, that's going to be 1,000 damage on top of the extra damage he's going to inflict by going over monsters. He is often game. 1 Ignister, double Cyframe Lord Omega, and the Supreme King Dragon Clearwing, your Field Wiper. Never forget Dweller. I've seen this more and more during this format. Dweller is really clutch, really awesome, and a card I haven't seen in some time. Karen Gorgon. I was actually very surprised to see him make room for it here, but I do like the choice. It is very nice. It's actually really good against Paleozoics, because you can kind of control what the Paleozoics are doing. Even it actually does not affect the monster, so you are able to, well, I guess that doesn't matter. That's not what matters. So what matters is when they're flipping Olenoides and Dynamiscus and stuff, you're really deciding. But his effect, whenever the targeting effects activate, doesn't, I believe, affect the monsters that it's going against. 1 number 41 Baguska. Really what the deck has sometimes become is Baguska Control. We've got the Utopia Package, Trapeze Magician, Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion. This one often ends games as well. The bigger their monster is, the more damage you're doing to them, because it slurps the attack, turns it to 0. Only 1 Time Star Magician. This is kind of how he made that extra room. 1 Tornado Dragon, and something that actually you'll end up using a lot, I find, Decode Talker, although you use it a lot more when you're using Astrograph Sorcerer, which he's not using, which a lot of builds actually seem to be going away from for consistency's sake, of not having to rely on another card to activate for your Astrograph to go off. It looks like he's just wanting to get those bodies on boards, make those XCs, make those synchros, and do it. So Gabe France, Great job, man. First place at the Philadelphia Regionals. I really could talk about this deck all day. Pendulum Magicians is my favorite deck, so sorry if I droned off. This is definitely his accomplishment. That's why I always put the people's words first now. I feel like that's super important to get their words out before mine. Thanks, everybody, for watching. If you want to continue to support my content, the Patreon link's down below, but just give this a like, give it a comment, and enjoy the video. I'll have a lot more coverage from this weekend coming up. I believe I have a Trickstar deck all the way out from Hawaii coming for you guys. That one will be awesome, and I have another surprise for the channel coming up. Maybe if we hit 200 likes on this one, I'll tell you in the next video that I see after we hit that like challenge.